22-year-old Miguel never believed the stories. He knew the truth. The monster was a myth, a scary story parents told their kids to keep them from venturing into the jungle at night. He also knew that the top of the ridge offered the best view of the sky. Even if he believed the monster was real, with the moon as big and as bright as it was, he would risk encountering it to bring Melina to his favorite spot. He and Melina had been seeing each other in secret for weeks. She liked him very much, even if her family didn't. They usually walked the village streets holding hands and stealing kisses in the shadows. That fateful night, Miguel had something more than kisses planned. Having snuck out, Melina met Miguel at their usual spot. Linking his fingers with hers, he led her out of the safe confines of the village and into the jungle. Melina was apprehensive at first, but Miguel assured her she would be safe, and what he planned would be worth the trip. Though her stomach turned with unease, Melina forced a smile and followed. The world outside the village was alive with the chirping of insects and night birds. Though it was a clear sky with gorgeous moonlight, the jungle was so thick that if one were to step off the trail, they'd be lost in the tangle of brush in a matter of seconds. Melina knew the stories as well. Though she didn't fully believe the monster was real, she couldn't keep her imagination from conjuring images of the creature at every bend in the trail. Her grandmother called it Cape Lobo. With the ability to travel on 2 legs or 4, the Cape Lobo had a thick fur-covered hide and a long, hooked snout. Though her grandmother said it mostly fed on small animals, the monster quite enjoyed using its long snout to suck the brain matter from any human unfortunate enough to cross its path. Melina shivered at the thought and wished her grandmother hadn't been such a vivid storyteller. Miguel sensed Melina's worries and squeezed her hand tightly. They didn't have far to go. They were near the top. Suddenly, Melina stopped. Tugging on Miguel's arm, she urged him to listen, and he did. And what he didn't hear caused his skin to prickle. The jungle was silent, as if not a single insect or bird dared make a sound. Miguel's heart began to pound. He knew that silence in the jungle meant a predator was nearby. Fearing it may be a jaguar, Miguel whispered for Melina to stay close to him. He reached into the pocket of his trousers and pulled out a small camping knife. It wasn't much of a weapon, but it would have to do. Miguel surveyed their surroundings. If there was a jaguar, he hoped to catch a glimpse of its eye shine in the moonlight. His search proved fruitless, however. If a jaguar was nearby, it was too well hidden for him to see it. Pulling in a deep breath, he crept forward with Melina holding on to the back of his shirt. The clearing on the top of the ridge was probably the safest place in the jungle. It was wide open and well lit. Miguel felt relief sweep over him once they reached it, but that relief quickly vanished when he realized there was something moving about in the clearing, and it was much too large to be a jaguar. He froze, Melina pressed against his back. It was a hulking figure, not quite a man and not quite an animal. It walked with a slight hunch, slow and plodding with its back to Miguel and Melina, until, with a sudden burst of movement, it bent down and swiped something off the ground. Whatever it was let out a desperate squeal before it was silenced with an audible crunch. The thing turned, and Melina gasped in Miguel's ear. They finally got a look at the monster's face, and what they saw would haunt them the rest of their lives. With a snout like an anteater, the monster fed from the poor piglet's skull, feverishly devouring its brains. Miguel gestured for Melina to begin backing away, and they'd only taken a few steps when Miguel nearly lost his balance. Melina steadied him, but they made enough noise to catch the monster's attention. The two lovers ducked into the brush. Peering out from beneath the branches, they saw the monster scan the area with piercing black eyes before it tossed the piglet aside and began lumbering in their direction. Nearing the end of the clearing, the monster stopped and unleashed a high-pitched scream that seemed to come from every direction at once. The scream was disorienting and painful and took all of Miguel's self-control to keep from grabbing at his temples. The monster narrowed its gaze while it licked the blood off its lips with a leathery tongue. It was only a few paces away, so close they could smell its rancid odor. Neither Miguel or Melina dared even breathe. They huddled in the brush, praying to Mother Mary that the monster would move along. And after what felt like an eternity, the monster did. It turned from them and eventually meandered down a trail on the opposite side of the clearing. Following the encounter, Many people didn't believe the young lovers, but that didn't matter. Both Miguel and Melina knew the monster was real. And they also knew they were fortunate to still be alive. They'd crossed paths with the Capa Lobo and somehow survived. Hi, Sean here. The story you just heard comes from Brazil. The indigenous people there have long told stories of a beast that walked on two legs and fed on small animals. According to the lore, the Capa Lobo, as it's come to be known, isn't just fond of human brains. Many stories mention its appetite for kittens and puppies. I don't need its rancid body odor or anteater-like head or a strange scream for me to mark this one off my list of things I don't want to encounter in the wild. That piece of lore alone, about the puppies and kittens, is enough to make me not a fan of this monster. So what do you think? Is the Capa Lobo real, or just a story adults made up to keep kids out of the jungle at night? Let me know what you think in the comments, or just say hello. I like meeting new people. Thanks for watching. God bless.